Hello and welcome to another edition of the Lynn Lowdown. I'm Danny Vittori, and today we have on very special guests, the founder and executive director of the REAL program. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm pretty excited.
And so could you just quickly introduce yourself for the viewers?
Yeah. My name is Jan Plourde, and I am the founding director of the REAL program at 17 Atlantic Street in Lynn.
And you were just telling me, too, you just hit a big milestone, 10 years.
Yes, 10 years. It's hard to believe, but we've been working at this for 10 years and hopefully beginning to feel something of our presence. That's what we're trying to do. So.
Definitely. And do you remember what originally made you decide to found a nonprofit like this?
Well, I've been involved in education my whole life, and so when I had the opportunity, because other stuff had fallen apart, I thought, well, let's turn this around and do it something that I wanted to try. And for many years, I had the Learning Tree store in Danvers and Stoneham, and I met incredible teachers, many of whom were from Lynn. So I thought, let me try to help in Lynn for a little bit. And when I got here, I thought, ooh, I could do some work here. So I learned pretty quickly that there was 100,000 people, one public library, 18 elementary schools, and only 7 of them had libraries in their schools. And I thought, whoa, this place needs literacy. That's where it started.
And one of the things that I've seen it quite a bit around the city is the Little Free Library program that you started.
Exactly. Well, it's the Little Free Library is an organization started in Wisconsin. A fellow named Todd Bowles started it. And I had the luxury of being able to meet with him and have him come and do a conference with us with the Learning Tree store in 2014. When I was able to start the Little Free Library concept, it was really about what it is most of the places. It's take a book, leave a book. In Lynn, where we are on Atlantic Street, we're actually stocking our Little Free Library 3 or 4 times a week with books.
Wow. Because
people are just thirsty for them, and people don't understand. People want books, especially children. So that's what we're focusing on.
And you have several programs that focus on that. One of them is the Before Home program.
Yeah.
So do you want to talk about that?
Sure. That's really a cornerstone for us because we had the opportunity to get started with that when we began, and it was a really wonderful experience to be able to go and work with the children directly from the Brickett School. And the idea is that the Brickett School is truly a mirror, a smaller mirror of the entire city. We have folks from so many different backgrounds, and all of the children that we walk over from the Brickett School to Atlantic Street for our Before Home program their families come from somewhere else. And English is not their first language in every case. So what we do is we provide them in a home-like setting at 17 Atlantic Street. We provide them with the help and support that families do when families have that opportunity, and resources and time and knowledge. Yeah.
Which is, it's a fantastic program, and I know it says here, some of it is volunteer-based.
Almost all. Yeah.
Most of it. So if people want to get involved, how would they go about doing that?
Absolutely. So reach out to me. My email's jan@therealprogram.org, or the phone number is 978-993-4425. The idea is that whatever somebody's background is, there's always a place. So if somebody would like to work with children directly and read with children, we do a lot of that. We walk over and get 20 children typically, and in that number we have usually 8 to 10 volunteers. So we have a 1-to-2 ratio, which is pretty wild because that's pretty unheard of. And almost everybody has 30 to 40 years of teaching experience, have master's degrees, have all kinds of background. So, and then we have incredibly gifted young people who are from here, from Lynn, who are work-study students from North Shore Community College. And then we also have work-study students from other area colleges as well. and then service learning students from area high schools. So it's really exciting to work in a whole intergenerational, intercultural model, you know.
People from everywhere, all
Yeah.
places, languages,
Absolutely.
ages.
Yeah, and we're all learning from each other, you know.
Because you work at North Shore Community College too, correct? You teach.
I do. I teach early childhood education at North Shore Community College on the Lynn campus Tuesday and Thursday mornings. So I actually meet a lot of the folks that are the continuum of what I'm doing. So, and I get why they may not have experience on using a library because they haven't had that opportunity. A lot of times people don't understand that when we learn to read, that takes place, you know, before first or second grade. But when it switches from reading to learn, that doesn't take place in school. That takes place at home. So when children, a lot of times you'll hear high school and middle school teachers saying, these guys only read up to a second grade level. It's because they've never had reading after that. So they have enough reading, the mechanics of reading, to do school skills, but not the whole gamut of reading that brings you joy, that brings you a place to go when there's, you know, when you can't go anywhere else, or even that you would prefer. And I was incredibly lucky growing up with books around me, and my mother was a very avid reader, so we had a lot of that, you know.
I was lucky in that too. Both my parents read to me. I loved it. It's really where I learned to love it.
Yeah.
As you said, not everyone has that opportunity, so you want to give it to them.
Yeah.
And you also, in addition to that, have English classes for adults as well.
Yes.
So you have both.
We do. So it started originally for the parents, but it's not just for the parents. Any adults that can and want to come are welcome to come. We have in-person ESL classes on Mondays and Wednesdays from 3 to 4:30. And then we have a new program that's just started. It's really exciting. We're doing quilting and ESL together. A teacher from the Brickett School is teaching first grade at the Brickett School, is also trained in ESL and is a quilter. And she asked me about doing that, and I said, I just got donated 3 sewing machines.
So sure.
So that's how it works. And so we have moms making some patchwork quilts and learning English at the same time. It's pretty exciting, yeah.
That sounds like a fun time. You get to learn 2 things at once.
Well, often they are the ones that know how to sew.
That's true.
But we have one that didn't have any experience using a sewing machine yet, and this is just like, she's like a kid in a candy shop right now.
That's awesome, though.
It is. And then we have another fellow named Rob Bonney who does a virtual English class on Wednesdays, and also a very diverse group of people who are taking the classes. But there's a big influx of Ukrainians now, so yeah.
Because you said, I think, on your email, it's 56 languages are spoken in Lynn?
Yeah, yeah.
That's a lot.
It is, it is. And I just look at little pictures of the children that you have shown here, and the idea is that if I look at that picture and there's 4 children, there's 4 different cultures. They're not even all one spoken language. Their English is their spoken language, but it's their shared language as well. Yeah.
And you mentioned some of the pictures. They came from an event you did last year, the reading crawl.
Yeah. So in our efforts to put little free libraries all around the city, I was able to find a lot of, I call them retired newspaper boxes. So the retired newspaper boxes, we have several being painted by a raw artwork team. We also have some that we're using for this event on March 19th. It's our 2nd annual Little Free Library Crawl. And the idea is that hosted at the Lynn Museum, and this year hosted at the Lynn Museum and Lynn Art Gallery, because we are also having the opportunity to use the Neil Rantoul Vault Theater in the Black Box Theater, which we've had the opportunity to be in that space for a couple of weeks now due to a water break. But we're having a scavenger hunt. The children love to see the art in those halls at the Lynn Art Gallery. and so they're going to be utilized as part of our scavenger hunt. We have other vendors, other organizations coming to be part of the day so that they'll have all kinds of things that are related and available for children and families that will be at the Lynn Museum. Mm-hmm. We have hot chocolate and cookies and book bags full of books and prizes, and we have Michelle La Poetica Richardson doing beautiful MC work that she does. I call her the narrator of the day.
That's a good name.
Yeah. And Sheila Duncan is an author from Marblehead who wrote a book called Trouble the Dog. And it's a sweet book with a plush toy that she has used and worked very closely with a lot of police departments for children having trauma. The idea is that this little plush toy is absolutely perfect for a lot of the kids going through some rough stuff. The community police are there. Lynn TV is there. We have all kinds of good things. So it's a fun day. It's March 19th, and it's 12:30 to 3:30. Yeah.
That sounds like a fun time. Definitely sign me up for that.
Yeah, we will sign you up for that.
And just before we wrap it up real quick, one of the things you mentioned was your vision, so having 6 real houses in neighborhoods.
Yeah, so what I've learned is I'm not from Lynn,
okay.
But I have grown to love Lynn, and if I didn't love where I already am from, then I wouldn't hesitate to be here, because it has so much richness, and it really truly does have the history of where it's been. It's got the history of where it's most recently been, and then it's going forward. It has a huge future, and I look at it as a great opportunity. But the idea is that Lynn isn't in a place to be reborn. Lynn is in a place to be born, because a place that has had its roots in industry, it's not that industry is not going to stay here, but it's not going to have the same value as it once did have, where industry sort of implies a gritty kind of city, and it's not a gritty city anymore, and it's not going to be. And so it has a lot of opportunities for the people here to be going forward with a lot of potential, So the idea of staying in the community is what we've done by having the opportunity to be on Atlantic Street. Parents don't have to have a car to get to us. It then enables parents to be involved with us, and we want parents to be involved, because all the studies show that children whose families are involved in school do much better than children whose families are not. And so we don't want to put barriers between them. So when you go to get children on a bus to go to an after-school or out-of-school time place, the parents can't go.
Right.
And so, then you have all these organizations saying parents don't get involved. We have no way to get parents involved. It's too difficult. Right. So we just try to take away those things and be part of the neighborhood that we're servicing, we hope. So
definitely.
It's a bigger project than I thought, but we're on.
But it's an amazing project,
Thank
and
you.
so much of what you do is just great. And I agree with you that Lynn really has so much to offer.
It does.
And I want to thank you again for coming on to talk about it.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much for letting me. Absolutely.
Of course. You're very welcome. And once again, this has been the Lynn Lowdown. I'm Danny Vittori, and we'll see you next week with more guests.